Hello and welcome to the show. For this week's FailRace versus the community, we would go racing with the, new almighty wing, the Audi TT race car. Our first race would take place at the Nurburgring GP circuit. There was, surprisingly, just about everybody making it through the horrible turn 1, although turn 2 and a tyre bundle would claim its first victim. Tyre bundles are dangerous. We've said it many times before with these races and many others that, tyre bundles spitting cars back out into traffic do cause a little bit of problem. On the most part, though, everybody did a good job. A couple of cars did get collected, but on the most part, people doing a good job of avoiding it. That wasn't the only tyre bundle related incident, as the white and green car at the back of this train would turn in a little bit too much and grab one through there. The top three here were starting to make a little bit of a breakaway. I had some TV issues in this race. Well, actually my capture card crashed, and when it crashed, it made my TV go blank for a couple of seconds. So I didn't have the best of starts. Thankfully, I was at the back on the grid anyway. I managed to avoid any massive problems. This yellow Audi was keen to make his way up through the order, managed to get alongside and past on the exit of the chicane, although heads out of the final corner a little bit slow onto this start-finish straight. Now, all of these Audis were being raced completely stock and no tuning allowed, so the cars are absolutely identical. There is no car advantage in any of this, all down to a driver's skill. The yellow and black car has a look and draw alongside, can get the nose to the door of the yellow car, but can't carry the speed to get the pass done. While up ahead, grey car was a little bit wide out of turn 2 across the AstroTurf, a little bit slow, and that's going to be enough of an opportunity to allow the yellow car to get through. Again, in races like these, you don't want to be held up for any longer than possible. You see an opportunity for an overtake, you're going to want to take it. The grey car still close, but this next corner, very, very little in the way of a braking zone, so yeah, getting a pass done down there would be rather difficult. As you can imagine, there was plenty of fighting through the field in this one. While these cars are relatively fast compared to what we would normally run in versus community, the top S-Class cars, they were not particularly difficult to drive. Little mistakes, sure, as the white Hancock car there can't quite get it slowed down into the chicane. A good pass from the Red Bull car, and in fact the Monster car would get through as well on the exit of the final turn. Yeah, they're fast. They're fast cars, these ones, but they are not too difficult to drive, which meant, on the whole, the racing was very good with them. Again, the yellow and red car continued making good progress through the field, finding all sorts of places, this time at the final turn here at the Nurburgring GP circuit, to make one of those passes stick. Of all the tracks we go to, Nurburgring GP isn't the most difficult of circuits to overtake on. Normally turn 1 is where you will get the passes done, and there was certainly plenty of squabbling going on at the front. The Red Bull car continued to lead, 7-Up car in second, coming under pressure from the Shell car in third. That grey vehicle gets his nose up alongside, although can't quite maintain the speed. I was fully expecting the grey car on the outside there to be able to carry the speed down this back straight, but he just didn't quite have as good a run as I would expect. The 7-Up car still doing a good job, might not quite have the speed. You're on the inside for the first part here, but can't keep the vehicle alongside. The bright green car will get that pass completed, and of course that helps the leader. The leader's not had any pressure for half a lap. It also helps the cars behind, and this was gradually becoming a bigger and bigger battle. This is, the Red Bull car is the leader of this race as this whole group starts to concertina together. You see as they come around the hairpin, about 1st to 8th place were relatively close at this stage. As they head up through the S's, the Red Bull car a little bit slow through all of that. 7-Up vehicle having a look around. It thinks about diving to the inside. The Red Bull car covers. Doesn't matter, the green car has got the bravery. It's around the outside. Maybe weird on the AstroTurf, no problems for that car, though. Will get the pass done. The Shell car tried to follow through on the inside, but ran out of grip. That tight line onto this back straight does not always work out quite so well. The green car through. Now the Shell car can go chasing after that position and would get the move done. The Red Bull vehicle would slip back to fourth. I did have a little look around to find out what else was going on in the race. Certainly by now it was most manic at the front. Monster car had worked his way up into third as the yellow car was fighting, looking for a way past. However, while first and second managed to pull away a little bit. The monster car running too deep under brakes into the hairpin gifts the third place back to the Red Bull vehicle. Easy mistake to make at that hairpin, especially, you know, these cars are very, very good under brakes, but then you get used to pushing them hard, and yeah, just running that little bit wide in the braking zone. It was only one place lost, though, for the monster car. Victory, though, that would go to the 7-Up vehicle. A good pass, a very good pass, in fact, to get himself to the lead and able to run in clean air for the final couple of laps. Would pull clear of that massive squabbling group, while the shell car would come in second. Wouldn't be a versus the community without a lagged out car somewhere on the replay, and we had to have that. For the car as it comes across the finish line. Oh, you gotta love Forza replay sometimes. But yeah, a very good race actually. I had a lonely race way down the order, but a very good race for everyone else. Foxy Gaming HD taking that victory. EVR Liam T in second with the shell car, and IX Twisty in third with the Red Bull vehicle. Race number 2, and we headed to the Hockenheim full circuit. Again, there are a couple of cars in this replay that are not showing up. You can kind of see from the missing spots on the grid. Unfortunately, it is yeah, tends to be when somebody lags out of the lobby, that's when their car doesn't appear in the replay. It's not always the case. Sometimes people lag out and the cars will still appear, but yeah, it's one of the many things we have to work around with. Turn 1 was surprisingly clean in all of this. There were a couple of taps in Turn 2 that saw one vehicle pointing the wrong direction. Those of us at the front, or certainly further up the field, managing to escape relatively unharmed as we all run down towards the hairpin for the first time. Always scary when you might not know the car. The brakes are very good on these vehicles, as you can see, where an invisible car caused some problems for a purple vehicle. Yeah, the first time into the hairpin is always a touch on the scary side, but again, everyone did a good job at getting their cars slowed down and sorted out for that corner. We didn't have any silly, massive crashes going on there. Riding on board as the car up ahead is a little bit wide, getting up towards the final, much more technical section. Again, much like Nurburgring, Hockenheim is not too bad a track in terms of finding a way to overtake, although the white car was very slow through that fast right-hander. Red Bull car having a big break and a bigger void. The Red Bull is up the inside, although the white car does a very good job on the exit. I was expecting the blue car to go soaring past, but that white vehicle is not giving up without a fight as they head into the final couple of corners. The Red Bull car is determined to get around that outside. There's now a turquoise car coming to join. This is becoming quite a big train as they fight for position. Still, the Red Bull car can't quite do it. Now the purple Audi's having a look, although that's going to back out of that manoeuvre when it realises there's not quite going to be space for that to work. I was in the midst of this group as well as the purple and blue car now started fighting. I was way out wide. I go to cut back, however a car behind me has joined in. We're now 3 wide onto the back straight. The blue Audi clonks the curb on the inside, fires him out into my door. Somehow though, despite that, we all get away with ending up on the back straight 3 wide. I lose out a little bit in terms of momentum down towards the hairpin. It all comes down to who can be the bravest under brakes, but of course still get their car stopped for the corner. I was late under brakes, however, there was nowhere to go around the outside. The black car, I think, surprised the turquoise car by quite where it was. The turquoise having to have a big dive out of the way when realised there was suddenly a car up the inside. However, we all got away with it okay, and I had struggled to make progress at that particular time. Further back, this was the fight for, I think it was just outside the top 10 between these cars that had a little bit more of an unfortunate start. Again, there are a few cars that weren't quite appearing in the replay, so race position-wise, a little bit more difficult to judge. A good pass, though, from the white and blue car to move himself up a position as, again, you head on to this back straight, trying to get out of that kind of turn 2, turn 3 area. Very important. When you're all in identical cars, you can get a good run onto this straight, that extra momentum carrying you forward. The Red Bull guy tried to move. He wasn't going for a pass on the white and blue car, I don't think. He was going for trying to get past the grey and red, but could not slow it down in time. Does a good job, though, of avoiding any sort of torpedo manoeuvres. At the front, it was a little bit calmer, unlike at Nurburgring when things had got quite mad in the closing stages. Here, it was a little bit more spread out between all of the vehicles. While this particular Red Bull car was working his way up, was gradually catching these guys ahead. It wasn't until towards the very end of the race that he actually got to within range. It's around the outside of turn 2 for the inside at turn 3 that would put the car through. Again, another very good overtake for that final podium position. You always got to be wary, of course, doing those sort of passes. The white car is going to have a big slipstream all the way down this straight. Silver car, I should say. And sure enough, we'll have a go up the inside into the hairpin, but can't get it stopped. And a simple textbook cutback, if you like, for the Red Bull vehicle will see him hold on to the third place. I mean, the silver car had to go for something there, but in the end, couldn't quite pull it off. While for the rest of us, large parts of the latter stages of this were just everybody driving around single file. I'll say single file. Everybody was driving around within sight of one another, but nobody was really able to do anything about overtaking each other. It's just the way the racing happened to go. The Audi Sports and Red Bull cars further back, these guys continued to fight for position as we round the final corner. That red car out a little bit wide, almost on the AstroTurf. The Red Bull car gets a good run, but turn 1 here is not the place you want to be trying an overtake because it's so fast and there's not much in the way of braking zone. In the end, the Red Bull car thinking better of having a go at that one and would duck back into line and have to try again at a later point. I had finally caught up to the group ahead. It'd taken me 3 or 4 laps to get onto the tail of these guys, but on the final lap, I was there, and I was looking for a way past the purple car. Hadn't been able to do it at the hairpin, however, he was wide on the run-in. Could see where the understeer was going to take him. Didn't quite realise until I was watching this replay back just how close I had come to smack. I knew it had been close. I hadn't quite realised just how close it had been smacking the back of the purple car there. We get a nice close-up of the mighty wing on the back of these Audis there. Yeah, a decent pass through. It's about the most exciting thing I had going on during that race, aside from the 3 wide earlier on, I guess. At the front, though, our victor would be this silver and pink car, having got to the lead early on, was able to maintain pace. As we said, that the third place Red Bull car was gradually catching up to these guys in a few more laps and may well have started fighting with them. However, as it was, stayed out of trouble, made no silly mistakes, and able to take a victory. We see the right and red car in second with the Red Bull further back in the third. Pretty close between top 3. Not quite as manic as it had been at Nurburgring. The best finish, though, this would be for, I think it was 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th between all of these cars as they run up towards these final couple of corners. The white and blue car had been catching this group quite quickly in the closing laps. Just got there a little bit too late as a few of them are out wide across the AstroTurf, but nobody could do anything about overtakes. And that's kind of a little bit how a fair bit of the mid part of this race had ended up going. It happens sometimes with motorsport. To the podium, TR King Copper would take victory. Blazer in second place with F1 Kieran in third. Race number 3, and we would head to the Sonoma GP circuit. Now, there would be one mandatory pit stop as well in this race. We haven't done quick stops in races for quite some time. We won't be doing them again either, as for some reason they cause a lot of issues with cars, because a lot of weird glitchy issues with some of the vehicles. When some cars came into the pits, they'd come out and their car would then be invisible for unknown reasons, shall we say. So yeah, we're not going to be doing quick stops again. Vehicles may well disappear from this replay. Either way, off the start line, I was right on board with the yellow car. Got a very big sideways moment over the top of the hill, trying to sneak up the inside of one of the vehicles. Lost a place in all of that, is now the white and green car is having a look around the outside. It's a long, long way around the outside of that particular corner, and again in identical cars going around the outside at that sort of turn is tough work indeed. A lot of vehicles going sort of too wide into that hairpin, and up ahead a white and red car was a little bit slow on the exit as they head into the S's. This is not the place that you want to be trying to fit too wide. I'd had a relatively good start, but there was a lot of traffic ahead of me. So me and a couple of others opted for the very early pit stop. You'll see the yellow car that we were riding on board with at the start dove in. Me and a green car also dove into the pits. The plan being, we'd get out of traffic. We'd be able to run around the circuit on our own, or relatively on our own, set some quick lap times, and that could leapfrog us up the order. It kind of works best if you're the only one that comes in, and 3 of us relatively fast drivers had all dove in the pits at the same time with the same strategy. And the good old Forza, yeah, don't ask about the weird amalgamation of cars. Always scary when it does that, because you're never quite sure what's going to happen when you leave the pits, but thankfully the Forza pit lane AI all kind of sorted itself out. So, with various drivers going for different strategies, it did make the field a little bit less congested early on. You know, with some of the fast cars diving into the pits, you know, to try and take those early pit stops. Yeah, it did make it slightly less crazy, although still a big fight going on for second place at this stage. We fire through the fast right-hander, the white car that we are following here with a lot of speed, but nowhere to go. It's too wide up ahead. Somebody else dives in the pit lane further back. So when it's too wide up ahead, you can carry all of the speed that you like. However, you got nowhere to go with it. You've got nowhere to go. You can try and go 3 wide into that hairpin, but if you get stuck on the outside, you're not going to be able to carry the speed to get a move done. So again, have to sit back into line up through turn 1 and towards the second corner. Still not a huge amount of space to be finding overtakes, and a little bit of grass on the exit won't have helped. That was hence why we dove into the pits. However, the downside of that early pit stop strategy, well, the 7-Up car had come out behind me, but fairly quickly found a way past. However, one of the monster cars that had pitted on lap 2 had come out in front of the 7-Up car, and, well, the green car was really struggling to find a way past. The early pit stop is great when you run in clean air, when you run essentially hot laps for a little while. However, when you get stuck in traffic like this, it's just as costly as if you had stayed out. The yellow car was staying out of trouble. You can see the purple vehicle rejoining from the pit lane there when he's taken his stop. You know, yes, we'd leapfrogged some of the cars further up, and in fact, the purple car having a bit of a mistake through with cold tyres through those second corner would then allow me to profit and make up a position as well. Yeah, we'd leapfrogged some cars, but little bit too much squabbling. A little bit too much squabbling had cost certainly the 7-Up car some time, and me to a lesser extent. The yellow car, though, was still looking very, very strong. The leader, he dove into the hits, although had to try and beat that yellow car out and was not fast enough. The undercut from the yellow vehicle had been enough. Now, the white and red car had still come out in second place. Unfortunately, the monster Audi would have a controller disconnect, and that would see that car out of the race, which would promote the 7-Up car into, well, kind of an effective third place. There was still one more car out in front to pit. I was struggling with pace with the Audi. I hadn't been massively fast at Nurburgring, had been a lot better at Hockenheim, and then went back to not being massively fast here at Sonoma. I don't know why. I quite like Sonoma, but yeah, I was struggling with this car, trying desperately to cling on to what was around about an effective 6th or 7th place. Just didn't have the speed in the car. It was a good move from the white and green Audi around the outside on the way up the hill to yeah, get that pass completed. The one remaining car for their pit stop, the Liquid Moly Audi, would be in. Now, he'd run a few laps, again, out front on his own, and was hoping that that might have been enough to keep him ahead of that very, very fast yellow TT. However, that did not quite work either. It was closer than the white and red car, and he had made some decent ground, actually, being able to come out all of this in second place. But it certainly wasn't enough to cling on to that lead, although the 7-Up car was now up into third, the red and white car down into a fourth place. All of this put together made for an interesting tactical battle. The undercut certainly working for the yellow Audi that would go on to take the victory here. Getting out of traffic, running in clean air is very, very useful when you can make it work. If you get out of the pit lane and you're still stuck in battles, then perhaps not so much helpful. And it is a shame that the quick stop sort of broke a few cars. A few cars just weren't appearing properly in the game anymore. So yeah, that's not something that we will be using in the future. But there we go. I would have the closest finish of the lot of them. Again, continuing to struggle with pace around here. My undercar had worked okay to jump me up the order. I just then started falling back again. I was falling into the clutches of the blue and white Audi on this final lap, completely cock up the fast left-hander. The Audi then trying to carry more speed, ends up out across the grass. We both kind of even each other's mistakes out, running into that hairpin. However, I would just about hold on as the Audi continues to sniff around the rear bumper of my car. Can't find a way to draw alongside. One more lap and I would have to have defended an awful lot for that that final lap. But yeah, not my finest driving. On to the podium would be Impega. That would take a victory. Please don't hit me in second, with a Foxy Gaming HD in third. The TTs were a lot of fun, I have to say. The Audis were very good fun cars to drive. They are, as I said, faster than the normal cars that we would use in versus the community. That being said, we still had plenty of close racing. The pit stops at Sonoma didn't really quite work. Firstly, because of the breakages of the game. Secondly, it kind of spread the field out a little bit. And while I was involved in some battles, yeah, the tactics played more of a part, and a lot of overtakes were just done, well, in some ways, off track almost. But yeah, I liked the car. I liked the car quite a lot. I need to be a bit better at driving with the vehicle. That much is for sure. That's, though, going to be it for this week's Versus the Community. Next week, we are going to be racing A-Class cars that have got twin turbos. Now, you can do engine swaps to an engine that allows a vehicle to have twin turbos, and, of course, conversions to add twin turbos onto the car. But, yeah, your A-Class vehicle must have two turbos. You can sign up for that event on our forums. There will be a link in the description. Find the FailRace versus the community section, and you can sign up in there. However, that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.